Hey everybody, what's cracking? It's Paul with I Like to Paint Minis. Today's video, I'm going to go over the Army Painter Starter Fanatic set. It's if you're new into the hobby and you're looking for on a budget and just want to experiment, it's the set for you, especially if you're leaning towards acrylic paints. I'm going to go over the colors that are included with it, how to apply these, maybe base coating, some priming, some different options with washes, and then talk about brushes and also showing you how to maybe layer, thin down your paints. And at the end of the video, I'm going to include some miniatures and dioramas that I've done with Army Painter paint and their Fanatic line. And I hope you enjoy them. If you have questions or you'd like to see something different in a video coming up, please comment, subscribe if you can. And we're going to get started here in a couple seconds. And thanks for joining. I Like to Paint Minis. What's up? We're back. All right. I don't have the original box for the starter set, but I did want to go over the paints with you. Also, get this clearly out of the way. I am not paid, endorsed, or anything by the Army Painter. I am a true fanboy of their products, as you've seen in other videos. Now, this set they did send to me, but it was not to do a review or anything like that, so I'm coming straight from the hip on this one. So let's go what's included in the starter set. So you're gonna have acrylic. These are the War Paint Fanatics. This is leather brown. As I mentioned too, this is part of the triad system from them, starting from the darkest to the lightest. So this, as I mentioned in my past videos, this helps with me for layering or highlighting. If I go from a dark and I go to a different dry brush, I wanna get lighter and lighter, right? Leather brown. These are great for boots, belts, scabbards, capes, whatever it may be. You can even thin this down or get a little bit of white into it to do a true flesh tone, right? Depending on what you're trying to accomplish. But for a new starter set, these are awesome. Matte black. Some people use this as when they start to do armor, say black dark armor, and then they're gonna drop a shade on it or whatever else it may be. You always gotta have black in the set because you can mix these with other colors. We have matte white. This is great for highlighting. You could do it for basing too, right? You can use this in slap chop. So basically, if you're gonna prime a model black or even gray, you can actually dry brush on the matte white for the slap chop method. Ultramarine blue, whatever it may be, capes, boots, clothing, belts. If you're out there painting Space Marines, this is another good one that I heard of. And once again, these all fall in the triad system. Pure red, right off the bat, blood, mouth, tongue, fingernails, whatever it may be, as you see your model in those areas. This is probably in the highest, brighter of the cool reds from the triad systems. They have quite a few different reds. I love red. Demonic yellow falls in the triad system as number 3. You can use this, as I mentioned, for capes. This could be for hair. You can mix this with other colors to get different shades, whatever you're looking for. Now, it does come with a strong tone wash or a skin shade. Army Painter has multiple colors of these, from red to green to blue, whatever it may be. This is the strong tone. I think this is the strongest on there, and we're gonna use this as a wash to show you how to get things in the crevices or when you go to do a wash on there. Comes with plate mail metal. Sorry if there's a glare on the lights. This is metal. This is good for swords, shields, whatever you think you can use it towards. I know they have these sayings. I'm trying to think of it. They're torches or scondents, things that hang on the walls where you put your fires in. You could use those. Greedy gold, same thing. You can use it for armor, for gold in a dungeon that's coming up that you're working on soon. And then, very important, brush on primer. So for acrylic paints, everything has to have a primer for it to adhere to. I know most people say, I've heard them say over the years, that WizKids are already pre-primed. Yes, they are, but it's not the best prime job. That's based on experience because I went down that road. You can either strip off the WizKids primer or go right over it. If you're using any type of model like WizKids, Archon Studios, maybe you're using Warhammer or Reaper, I suggest, from my experience, washing them in some lukewarm water and soap to get off the release agents. Because if you paint over that with a primer even, sometimes it might not, but it will bleed through and your paint job will get all jacked up. So I'm gonna open up my wet palette here, because you're gonna need a wet palette for acrylic paints, or you don't have to buy the Army Painters, you can make your own, as I mentioned in my past video. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna show you priming for a miniature. Always remember, I have some primer on my palette. Hopefully you can see that here, the gray. Always wanna shake them up. It's gonna come in this bottle, it's gonna have 2 bearings. You wanna get some consistency in there where you can start to hear the bearings move around. You're gonna have a base coat brush, and that's one thing I forgot to mention. This set comes with these paints, probably not this exact brush, but it will come with a starter brush, and it will also come with a miniature. I think it's a knight. I think I already painted him up, he's sitting somewhere else. But for example, I'm gonna use this, I don't know what this guy is, Giant Badass Ogre from Archon Studios. And I'm gonna take the primer a little bit here, and I'm just gonna apply it to his back right here, because you already see I have some for another video. We're just gonna drop it on there. And this is the best part about the primer. There is no method to the madness. Just get it on there. Don't worry about going over the lines or whatever it may be. You wanna prime the whole miniature, all right? You wanna prime the whole miniature. And if you're already up to the grade of using rattle cans and using someone's primer, like from Army Painter or the other manufacturers out there, those will work just as fine. As you can see, once it dries, some people like to rush the work, and you can. You might be in a project or whatever. They'll dry it quicker. I've seen people use hair dryers, heat it up, put it on low heat, and then it will get dry. This one I didn't. This is just basic dry time, right? So let's go ahead and talk about base coating and thinning your paints to something that's already primed. So I have this piece here, and it's primed differently for a slap shot, but this will work for the painting part of it, right? So we have a door, and I brought out some leather brown, and as you can see here, here's where I scored it out on my palette, and then over here is where I've added a little bit of water to thin it down, just a little bit, because some paints will come right out of the bottle, they'll feel like they're thinned down, like a milk or watery-like consistency. You just don't want to apply acrylics right out of the bottle, or I've learned this from other people. There's actually a good video out there to watch from the Miniac. I think he just did it 2 days ago, depending on when you see my video, but he did some tests. He's great about testing out paints and options, but he did from here's water to milk-like consistency and how you want it. Depends if you're doing a lot of layering or just going out there. If your paint gets too thick, this is my first model, Minsk and Boo. You'll start to see where I might have got a little heavy-handed with the paint without thinning it and not listening. It does have a wash on there, but it'll have different consistencies. But we're gonna come over here and take down some of the thinned out paint from Army Painter, the leather brown. So you can use this for doors too, it just doesn't mean because it's leather. Drop it on here. We'll hit up the doors a little bit. And see how I just went over that rope? Don't worry about that rope handle. Later on, I can come back in and highlight that with some white or whatever it may be, or the Demonic yellow, and mesh that in with some brown to kind of give it like that rope standard look, right? So we'll put that on here. All right, so we got it on there. You've seen the example, right? We're not gonna get too crazy on you guys. So I'm gonna flip the script and I'm gonna move it over to the next side. So you can see here, it's got the brown already on there, it's dried. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to apply a wash. Shake your washes too. You hear the bearings in them. Also, this little dropper bottles are the best, and I've learned from over experience, but if you wanna buy other paints, be at it, just watch how quick they dry out. This little nozzle right here, sometimes it will come clogged. You can use a paper clip or something to poke through on that. to make it better for you. Otherwise, you're not gonna notice a clog. You're gonna squeeze it out. It's gonna shoot all over your wet palette. How do I know? Because I've done it. So we'll drop a little bit of the wash on there. Hopefully you can still see that. Great base coating brushes too, if you're gonna throw them away or not worry about it. You can get these knockoff brands. I think I did it 2 videos ago. Got these off of Amazon, like 20 or 30 of them for like 20 bucks, right? Respect your expensive brushes. Wash them, clean them after every paint use. Use paint soap out there. There's a variety of brands. I might have a tutorial later where I show you how to use and wash your brushes. Otherwise, this is just a normal brush. And I like to add a little bit of water to my washes. And as you can see, I don't have my water cup. I'm using the water on the side for my wet palette. If you're new, don't do that. But I'm just doing it for purpose's sake. So we see, we got this, the brown. Looks like the brown is still drying over here. I'm gonna come over and get this on here, and you'll see as the washes start to go into the creases of the different areas, right? Now, if you think you have too much, you can just wash your brush, dry it, and then you can use it like a sponge to come back over in the areas, right? Some people like to do washes or strong tones or shading over the primed, like white areas before they do their paints, or sometimes they just might think that pops for them, right? This will dry. Now, sometimes with the Army Painter washes, they do get a glossy finish. So there's a couple things you can do. If you're good with how that looks and you just want to leave that look, you can go back over it with a matte varnish, matte, not shiny varnish, and then that will take some of the shine away. Now, me, when I go back over this, I'm probably gonna let it dry, of course, and then I'm gonna come over with a lighter brown of a dry brush so I can hit those top ridges, leave the shadowing in the creases, and then I'll hit it with the matte varnish. But at the end of the day, it's your art, it's your miniature, they're your paints. However you wanna make it pop works for you, right? Don't let anyone ever tell you different. Great about dropper bottles too is when they fall over, they don't spill like other manufacturers out there for those bottles. Let me go ahead and close this up. One of the things I want to talk about, we'll go over like best options for paints or whatever you want to do. Like I mentioned, matte white is good for highlights and base coats, either traditional acrylic paints or slap chop. Pure red, enough to be said, different options. You're gonna have it for blood, cloth, flags, feathers on a knight's cap or a hat, dragons, whatever works for you, right? Leather brown, it could be used for anything. I think if you can tone this down a little bit more, you can get a flesh tone out of this set, right? When you're painting flesh. But it's great for belts, boots, scabbards, hats, shingling, whatever you're popping on. Dark green is great for like orc skin, goblin skin, grass, decorations, flowers, in those areas. Now, as I mentioned, matte black, you know, it's tough sometimes. I'm not a master at it, but you can use it for shading, black armor, you can use it for scabbards, toenails on a dragon, just within those areas. Demonic yellow, it has so many different case uses. It could be for the shingling on this roof. It could be flowers, maybe on a knight's shield for their family crest. That might be another option. Plate metal, great for swords, shields, metal shiny objects. Even if you're not painting fantasy stuff, maybe you're doing a model car and you're painting the engine, right? I always suggest though that not everything comes brand new out of the field. It could be for a car, or it could be for a sword. Someone's got a dirt on it or blood. Messy that up, right, with some of the shadow tones or the washes. Once you start to use washes, greedy gold, and they have other gold options. Great for armor, gold in a dungeon, gold bricks somewhere, something that you're using it on. And the brush on primer. You gotta use brush on primer. It's very important for your paints to stick. If you paint a plastic model or a rubber model, whatever, and the paints aren't sticking, you're gonna come back to this video and say, was I supposed to use primer? And you're probably right, because guess what? I forgot to use primer. The best thing about our models is if you make a mistake, you can go back and start again, right? You can strip them within those areas. So what I'll do is I'm gonna go ahead and get everything, you know, set up, and I'm gonna show you some finished dioramas and models that I painted with Army Painter paints and Fanatics. But let's go over some quick steps. Thin your paints with a little water so they go on smooth. Use a wet palette if you can. And if it's not an Army Painter or another brand, make one at home with a Tupperware dish, a sponge, and parchment paper. It's pretty inexpensive in those areas. You can see videos on it. Let each layer dry before adding more paint. And that's, you know, like I mentioned about the blow dryer, if you want to do that, go ahead. But I have maybe 2 or 3 models that will sit on my desk that I'm working on, like this ogre guy right here. I'm going to work on him. And then while that's drying for the primer or the base coat that I'm on, I might be picking up this model. This one's pretty cool from Archon Studios, to see how I'm going to paint this guy, right? I might get ideas. There's always options to do. Clean your brushes. If they're your expensive brushes or even your cheap ones and you want to use them again, clean them with paint soap. There's different brands that are out there. And use the washes, add shadows, make your miniatures pop. You're only going to learn as you go. So let's go ahead and stop this, and we'll come back with some things that I painted up. And if you have questions or other videos that you'd like to see in the future, you know, put comments, like, subscribe, share it with a friend. I'm still learning this hobby as I go, and also the hobby of making YouTube videos and using editing software. So if you've been doing this for a while and you have a tip, let me know, right? Otherwise, thanks for joining. I like to paint minis, and I'll have those miniatures up here in a bit.